I don't want to be rude. Hi guys, it's Adria, and for today's story time video, I'm going to be telling you guys about the time I almost got taken away from my mom. I don't know, there isn't like a lot of detail to this story, so I don't feel like this is going to be a super long video, but it's interesting and it happened, and I'm just like, what? I didn't even understand it until years later. I'm like, oh yeah, I probably could have gotten taken away from my mom. So this is back in 2007. I believe I was in 7th grade. I think it was, yeah, it would have been starting 7th grade. And if you didn't know, my middle school started in 7th grade. I know everybody says, no, that's wrong, but like, for me, it just did. That transition from elementary to middle school was just so drastic, and I was just like, what? So that really took a toll on me physically, and I guess I just started eating less, and I never really noticed. Later on, my mom like told like doctors and stuff like, oh, I think she just like slowly stopped eating, but I never noticed, you know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, I'm not eating, but I guess I was just not eating as much. I don't know, I was under so much stress, and I was so young, I just don't think I noticed. Whereas when that happens to me now, like if I'm stressed out and I'm like, oh, I haven't really eaten today, like now I notice as an adult, but back then you just don't notice those things when you're a kid. So it was December of 2007, and I think I had missed a total of like 2 months of school altogether. And I think I just hadn't gone to school for a long time, and it was just crazy, and I was still just not eating that much. And I wonder if I can find some pictures of me from that Christmas. I don't know, I just looked super skinny. If I find them, I'll put them in the video. So yeah, looking back on them now, I just look super frail and small and skinny. And I was about, how old would I have been? 2007, like about 13-ish. I was in the 60-pound range. I think I was between like 65 and 70 pounds, which really isn't a lot. And I've always kind of been on the taller side too. I'm 5'7" now, so I don't know how tall I was at the time, but I'm not a short person. So for me, like 60 something pounds, if I weighed that much now, I would look dead. That's like half of my weight now. So I was really small, but I didn't notice it. You know what I mean? Like for a lot of girls back at that age, it was, you know, you might look at that like, oh, did you have an eating disorder? Did you just want to be skinny? Like I never looked at it that way. Back then, I did not think about that kind of stuff at all. I never felt fat. So like when people would ask me, if I would go to the doctor and they would ask me like, are you starving yourself? I'm just like, what? Like I was so taken off guard by that. It was the day after Christmas. I woke up and I couldn't get up, I couldn't sit up or anything. A lot of people think that was sleep paralysis. To this day, I'm not really sure what it was. When I went to the hospital, they said that I was just severely dehydrated, and because of how underweight I was, the dehydration just was like intense, and you know, I physically could not move. Like I needed somebody to help me get out of bed, even to go to the bathroom. Like I just couldn't get up. And the thing was I did not feel hungry at all. At the hospital, like they weighed me and everything, and they noticed that I was very underweight. I probably should have been at least like 20-30 pounds heavier, and they're just like, what the heck? So I remember they made my mom leave the room, and the doctor asked me straight up, he was like, does your mother feed you? And I was like the hell? Like what do you, like what? That was crazy to me, because even to this day, all I do is eat. I've always just been an eater. I hide food in my room. I'm that kind of person. I just constantly eat. So when he was like, does your mother feed you? I'm just like, honey, you have no idea. And I was like, yeah, she feeds me. And then he was like, well, are you starving yourself? What? No. And then he was like, well, have you ever made yourself throw up? And I'm like, what? I was only 12 years old, and I don't know, I've always kind of been kind of sheltered or kind of like ignorant to those kind of things. I don't know, I just didn't really know about things like that back then. And for me, like that was so not the issue, and I didn't know what the issue was. At the time, I didn't even know that I wasn't eating. I was just under so much stress, like I didn't even notice what was happening. So then I guess they told my mom that I wasn't allowed to leave the hospital until I put on like a few pounds, or like we can't let her leave until like she puts on a few pounds. So then my mom like stressed that to me. She was like, you need to eat, or else like you're not gonna be allowed to leave, and they could take you away from me. And I'm just like, what? Like what did this turn into, okay? Like, I wake up, I can't move, I'm so beyond stressed out, like I'm a little 12-year-old kid just stressed out by school, and I guess I stopped eating in there somewhere. That's the thing, is like, when you're super stressed out, like, you don't even realize what's happening, you know? I would just stay home from school, stay in bed, not get up, not get dressed, crying, just upset. Like, it was a horrible time in my life. 7th grade was just awful. So I didn't really notice, like, hey, I haven't eaten anything today. Basically, I had to eat. They had to see me eat. They had to bring me food and then see that I was eating it and stuff. And the thing was, it wasn't even like, no, I'm not eating. I physically did not feel hungry at all. Do you know that feeling when you've already eaten dinner and like somebody offers you something and you're just like, no, 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 no. That's how it felt for me all day long. Like, from the minute I woke up to the minute I went to bed, it felt like I had already eaten, and I don't know why. Like, to this day, that's like a mystery to me. Like, why did I feel like that? I just physically wasn't hungry, and everything just grossed me out. So I remember one day my mom got me McDonald's. There was a McDonald's in the hospital, and she was just like begging me to eat it, like begging me to eat it. And I just like, I couldn't do it. I remember I just like picked at a few French fries, but like it was nauseating to me. It was a little foggy because I wasn't super like, you know, tuned into everything at this time. I think I was only in the hospital for like 2 or 3 days. I don't remember. It was definitely before New Year's, because I went to the hospital the day after Christmas and I wasn't there for New Year's. So sometime in between there, I left, because I think, you know, they saw me eating a bit. They were like, okay, like, you can go. There was no evidence of like child abuse or neglect or anything like that. And like, I told them that my mom wasn't starving me. I'm like 12 years old. I'm capable of feeding myself. You know, it's not like I'm a little baby. Like, I need my mom to spoon feed me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why, like, and it was weird. Like, even the first day my mom took me to the hospital, like when we were waiting in the waiting room to go in, I hadn't eaten breakfast, and my mom went to the vending machine and got like a bag of pretzels and was like offering them to me, and it just grossed me out. I was like, no. Like, to this day, nothing like that has ever happened to me again, except when I smoked hookah once. Then I didn't eat for like a week. But that's a whole nother story. So I don't know like everything that they told my mom. I think they were like ready to take me away from her, thinking it was like neglect or something like that. Can we get me like some therapy here? Like, what's happening? So I think I ended up going back to the hospital a couple days later, because I woke up and just felt super dizzy and sick, and like I couldn't eat, and like it was just ridiculous. It was ridiculous. And I think I stayed like one night in the hospital at a different hospital. So then basically the doctors like told my mom to put me on like a high carb diet, like just carb her up, girl. Just give her all the carbs that you possibly can. So then my mom started getting me bagels every week, just like Dunkin' Donuts. I ended up having a bagel every morning for breakfast with either butter or cream cheese, and I gained about 30, I think I gained 30 pounds in a year, which is a lot for anybody to gain. But when you go from 60 pounds to like 90-ish pounds, that is a lot. And you know what's funny is, like, when I was in the hospital, when I would go to the bathroom, they would tell me not to flush the toilet. Like, I think that they were convinced that I was just in there just puking, you know what I mean? So they'd be like, don't flush the toilet, like, you know? And it was so incredibly weird. Like, they had this complete wrong idea of what was going on with me. Like, here they thought I had an eating disorder. And, you know, but I'm a 12-year-old kid who is very stressed out, and just, like, I'm the kind of person, I can't eat when I'm stressed. You know, there's people that, like, binge eat when they're stressed out. I'm the opposite. I can't eat when I am, like, I mean, I understand that doctors have to be that way. Like, they have to raise those questions. They have to ask those questions. But at the same time, it's just, like, why not consider the other side of it? Because my mom was telling them she just started middle school this year, like, she's not taking it very well, she's missed a lot of school, yada yada. But it just seemed like they weren't convinced. Like, they just didn't want to hear it. They're just like, whatever, you're probably an abusive mom, like, bye, like, we don't care. So that was just stupid. I don't know. And I just remember feeling like I had no idea what was wrong with me. Like, even after I left the hospital, like, I'm just like, you know how, oh, if you feel like you broke a bone and you go to the hospital and they tell you, like, oh, you fractured your arm, and it's just like, okay. When I left the hospital, I felt like I was leaving with no answers. I'm like, what was even wrong with me? I like, was like, what? I didn't even realize how underweight I was. I didn't even realize how serious it was. I didn't realize any of it until years later. I look back on it, I'm just like, oh, like that was kind of bad. I remember when I was laying in the hospital bed, my mom told me, you're not gonna go back to your middle school. She was like, you don't have to go back, you're not gonna go back, we're gonna put you in a different school. And I think that right there was when I started eating again. That was when I like felt like, okay, I can eat, and then that's what helped me get out of the hospital. You know, just my mom saying like, you don't have to go back, we're gonna fix everything, we're gonna move you to a different school, it's gonna be okay, like that like took the weight of everything off my shoulders, and then I was able to start eating again. So then after like the holidays and stuff all passed, then, you know, time to go back to school, I transferred to a private school. And, you know, at the time I was still very underweight. I was on the high carb thing. I was really just trying to get healthy again. I was trying to just get at a healthy place. Then to make matters worse, at this new school, all the girls like spread rumors about me being bulimic, being anorexic, and it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. I was already very insecure as it was. This was around when I started wearing makeup for the first time, I think, was in 7th grade. I think that's when I started wearing makeup. Being as insecure as I was, I wanted to fix up my makeup after lunch, because, you know, it's like, oh, I finished my lunch early, so I'm gonna go in the bathroom. At this point, I was eating again. I did eat all of my lunch, you know, and because things were starting to feel okay. I was okay with this new school. I was like, okay, like this is good, because it was a lot smaller, it was a private school, and I was like, okay, this will work. But I would go into the bathroom to fix my makeup because I'm like, oh, I'm ugly, I'm insecure, like, yeah. I don't know, I was always just very insecure in my own skin. I don't know, I just felt like I was ugly, but I never felt fat though. So that's where like I was confused by everybody saying I had an eating disorder, because fat was the one thing I never felt like. I just felt ugly. I just felt bony and ugly and gross. So I would just go in the bathroom and fix my makeup, and then girls started spreading rumors that I was anorexic, that I was bulimic, that's why I would go in the bathroom, yada yada. And little did they know it was the exact opposite of that situation. Like, they didn't know that I had just been in the hospital, they didn't know that I was on a high carb diet, they didn't know that I was trying to put weight on, that I had to put weight on, like all of the drama that was happening, like they didn't know that. And that's where it's like, you know, you really don't know somebody's situation and people kind of make assumptions. And I wasn't even aware that they were saying those things about me until a friend of mine told me, because she sat at the table with them and she was like kind of friends with them, but kind of not, because they talked about her too and were mean to her. You know, she told me one day, like, everyone at this table thinks that you're bulimic. And I just remember crying in class when she told me that. I couldn't believe that people were like that. That was just such a strong assumption to have about somebody that you don't even know, and then to just talk about it and not even out of concern, you know, like if they were expressing it in a voice of concern, that's one thing, that's different, but it was a complete malicious girls being girls and just horribly mean, you know. And I never became friends with any of those girls. I never felt the need to like reconnect with them and, you know, make amends and whatever, because I'm just like, whatever, it's middle school, bye girl. And then there was a whole time, one day they came in the bathroom when I was in there, and one of them was banging on the stall door and like asking what I was doing in there, and I'm just like, going to the bathroom, and they're just like, like all just laughing together, and then they all leave. That was so, like, ugh. If anything like that has ever happened to you, with girls spreading rumors and making fun of you and things like that, that is not fun. And for anyone that has struggled with their weight, whether it be overweight or underweight, I understand how hard it is, especially when people have the wrong idea. People can just assume one thing, but it could be the complete opposite. So, you know, you never know what somebody's going through in that way. And, you know, nobody even bothered to ask me. You know, I would have told them that I went through a rough transition into middle school and I got sick, I was in the hospital, and I'm underweight and I'm trying to put weight back on, but, you know, nobody bothered to ask me, so they just made assumptions. And then they ended up spreading rumors that I was a vampire, and I kind of embraced it to a degree. Well, this is a whole nother story in itself, but that was when I started kind of hurting myself. They like spread rumors that I was a vampire and whatever, and, you know, so none of the boys would like me, and all the boys thought I was gross and weird. So, I mean, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, so that was kind of scary. I mean, had that gone bad, I could have been taken away from my mom, who knows, but I'm just very grateful that I didn't. and I'm grateful that, you know, those days are over. I'm so glad. Middle school was so bad. Oh my gosh, middle school was awful. So I am just forever grateful I made it out alive and that, you know, I'm good. It is what it is. It's all a thing of the past. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Yeah, thank you guys so much for subscribing. I don't know, lately I've just felt so loved by you guys, and I really feel the community on here, and your support and your likes and your subscriptions, yeah, everything. When you guys subscribe, when you send me messages, when you comment saying, you know, that my videos help you and inspire you or make you laugh, like it means the world to me, and I love each and every one of you, and thank you so much for all of your support. So I will see you guys again real soon. Until then, panda hugs. I love you guys.